You're listening to Media Automated. Join us as we explore the intersection between self-improvement and business excellence, showing you the strategies that will help you take your message, your brand, and your podcast to the next level. Let's begin. Let's build a cult, shall we? My name is Bryce Prescott, and this is Media Automated, where self-improvement meets business excellence. I'm really excited for this show because in the last few episodes, I've focused mostly on mindset type of things that are important for you and your business. Now, clearly, your mindset and how you show up for yourself and the way that you think about yourself, the way you think about your business, what you feel as a worthy goal, all of that it's an undeniable part of the success of what you create for yourself. But clearly, the things that go on inside of your head are only part of it. There's the inner world principles, there's the outer world principles. And I wanted to talk to you today about some really fun strategies relative to creating a movement within your company. Most people that have businesses, no matter the business, they want raving fans. They want a fan base or a client base that does everything that they are told to do, that buys everything that you put out there as a product or service, and that are really, really like in your space, wanting to support your business because they believe in it. The beauty of this is that there's actually a formula associated with this. And I'm going to teach you that formula today. Today's episode is very tactical. I am going to lay out for you a 4-part plan that will allow you to create a cult-like environment with you, your product, your service, and the movement of your product and service in the marketplace. I'm not going to teach you how to be David Koresh, but I am going to tell you some things that have been learned from some of the best marketers in the world, as well as that are tried and true when you look across the planet on what cults do. I'm not even exaggerating. I'm going to teach you how to be a cult leader. It just so happens to be that my hope as you take this information is that you become a benevolent one relative to what your business and service is. You get those cult-like followers to your product or service. So before we get into that, I wanted to share with you the reason why I'm doing this, and the problem that I see is that we misunderstand, you specifically misunderstand a lot of the major principles for marketing. You misunderstand that when you are trying to get people to buy into your product and service, it's basically the same as getting them to be a member of your religion or your cult. You just look at it differently. You don't know or associate intellectually, even emotionally, that when you have an advertisement or you have an offer that you put out there, that the emotional response and the psychology associated with them taking action and being a part of that down the line is very, very similar to the psychology and emotional makeup of what cult members do. It's a totally fun, very real, and practically applied principles, and we're going to talk about it. But I wanted to make sure that, because here's what happens. If you don't address this, you will struggle. Some of the most, look at some of the biggest companies and people, individuals that you follow. Let's look at, for example, Apple Computers. You want to start some mess on social media? Talk about how the iPod and the iPhone are better than anything Android. Start that conversation. Apple over everything. There's a war there, and the reason why is that the people that have bought into those ecosystems and are fans of Apple, they are diehards. There's a psychological reason why. When you look at the battle between Ford and Chevy, when you look at the battle between Lamborghini and Ferrari, what you're looking at is you're looking at two groups of people that are fanatical about those products, and there's a reason why. So, why wouldn't you want that to be how people react to your product? That they elevate you, your product, and your service to be the top of the heap in a fanatical way. I know that's what I want. I want everybody that's a client of mine and that even isn't a client but wants to be a client of mine to look at my business and go, dude, wow, I got to be a part of that. So I'm going to teach you how we're doing this. You ready? Well, basically, it's a very simple 4-part deal. It takes 4 things, just very simply 4 things in order to create a cult-like following for whatever you're doing. 4 things, very, very simple. And I'm going to break down these 4 things both in a micro and a macro sense. So let's go wide angle first. The 4 things that you need in order to be able to create a cult-like following within your product, your business, or your service is quite simply, the first is you need a charismatic leader. You need an attractive character that's at the head of it. There's a reason why people are such fans of Apple, and that reason is mostly Steve Jobs. Now, clearly, Apple had a superior product, and they had a design that was cool, and they knew how to make their stuff relevant. But Steve Jobs was the attractive character. He was the charismatic leader at the front of that company. You look around at other people on social media that you follow. Those dynamic personalities, they are attractive. Now, some of you might be thinking, well, I'm not that dynamic. I'm not that attractive. Fair enough. But energetically, you can be. And what the energy of attractive and charisma is authenticity. It's sharing your experiences, your truth from your filter, from your place of knowing, without fear of rejection. The most authentic characters that we have seen are very polarizing. For example, look at politics. Donald Trump is one of the most polarizing characters in culture today. But the people that love him really love him. And there's a psychology behind that. And so if you want to have a cult-like following for your product and service and your brand, you need to step into that role of being the charismatic, attractive leader. You have to do it by being yourself. There's no other way to describe it. You have to be yourself. Okay, so first up, charismatic leader. The second thing is that you have to have a future-based cause. See, right now, we're living our lives. You're listening or watching this on a certain day. Whatever that day is, you have things you're going about your day to day. You have responsibilities you're dealing with, whether it be your family or your business or whatever. But you want better. Even at the highest levels, every level requires further expansion. No matter how well you're doing in your life, if you sit there stagnant, you will become bored. So every level requires that you go to the next level and you reach for that expansion. And so having a cause that's based in the future as a part of what you do is something that allows people to feel like they're a part of something with you. Let's look at, I'm not calling this a cult for the sake of it being a negative thing, but let's look at religion, for example. Let's look at Christianity. Okay? What is the future-based cause of Christianity? It's salvation. It's taking the feelingness of unworthiness and of not being enough and lack and knowing one day that will go away. That is what they preach to you. That is the message of the cause based in the future to which you get to adopt for your own when you become a member of that following. The charismatic leader of Christianity, who is it? It's Jesus Christ. Now let's look at the other side. Let's look at some of the more nefarious and negative ones. Let's look at Hitler. He was clearly a charismatic leader, and he clearly had people that followed him. Well, what was his future-based cause? He taught about ridding the world of imperfection and elevating the master race. Now, that's not a very good one, and it's quite evil. But if you look at the psychology of it, it's the same across the board. No matter what the movement is, no matter what the cult is, you got a guy on top that's a charismatic leader that's attractive, and then there's a future-based cause where together the people that are following it are working towards something that's in the future. Now, the third thing, you have to have a name for your followers. You have to be able to have an identity shift. For those of the people, you have to have an identity shift for the people that are associated with you. So let's look at these two polar opposite examples. We've got Christianity and we've got the Nazis. Oh, there it is. The name of the followers of the National Socialist Party were nicknamed Nazis. The name of the followers of Jesus Christ are called Christians. There is an identity that comes with that name. It comes with a bunch of bullet points like this is who we are. This is why we do what we do. This is the tenets of our beliefs. Everything about that moniker for your followers includes shifts in their identity. This is very, very important. And one of the things that you have to be mindful of, both with your future-based cause and the name of your followers, both of those things have an identity associated with them, is that anything that you can have them do that actually meets a core human need. Tony Robbins says there's 6 core human needs. If you can have them meet at least one, if not multiple, they're in. I'm going to share some of those needs with you. The 6 core human needs. The first one is certainty. We have to have certainty. We have to have the assurance that we can avoid pain and that we can gain pleasure and that we can have our needs. We have to have that certainty. Without that certainty, that will become our main focus. We have to have food on our plate. We have to have a place to sleep, shelter, safety. We have to have that. That's a core human need. Second thing, on the flip side, we have to have variety, which is the same way of saying uncertainty. We have to have there's a need we have for the unknown. We have to be surprised and we have to feel excitement for things that we know might not happen and then they do. We have to have uncertainty and variety in our lives in order to maintain growth and happiness and joy. The third one is significance. We have to feel as individuals like we are important and that we are unique and that we're special. Now think about this from a future-based cause standpoint. If you can provide something in the future that allows people to feel like they have certainty or variety or significance or connection and love, which is the fourth, or growth, opportunities for expansion, which is the fifth, or contribution where they feel like they're a part of something. The more of those that you can provide in your future-based cause and that the identity shift associated with the name for your followers provides, the easier it is for people to stick with you and to be diehard fans. There is a misnomer out there that makes people think that you don't want to demand too much from the people that follow you. Psychology would say otherwise. If you look at some of the most difficult, for example, religions to be a part of that demand the most from the people that are members of those religions, the member base, the pious in those religions is very stalwart. They stick with it. It requires something of them, and they find purpose in that. Well, how can you use that information for your own good? You can require things. You can say, if you're not doing this, you're out. If you aren't willing to be a part of this and to think this way, you're gone. We don't want you here. You can set lines and boundaries that make it so only the people that are really on board with you are a part of what you're doing. And the irony is it works. There's so many different examples of strong movements, of groups of people, politics. Look at the current political environment that we have now. They are tribal. They have their marching orders. They have the fourth, which is an enemy. The fourth part of creating a cult is having an enemy. You got to have somebody to throw stones at. In politics, it's the other side. If you're a Republican, those Democrats are pieces of shit, and they're trying to make everything communist. If you're on the Democrat side, you're like, look at those fascists over there. They're trying to control everything. They're trying to make it so that people can't do what they want. They're just throwing stones back and forth at each other, and they have their identity. If you are a member of either one of those tribes, you know exactly where you fall in line. Now, I'm not here to debate the morality of this or the effect that it has in society in those instances. I'm trying to present to you information that you can apply to yourself. Because if you embody this and you use it, you understand that you are the charismatic leader of your company. And by speaking truth as the charismatic leader, you can pull people and have them interested in what you say. And then from there, when you can give to them a future-based cause that allows them to feel their core human needs being met because they're a part of something bigger than them, and they have something to work toward, and they have a community to work towards it with, you win. You attach a name to those followers. They have an identity with that name. Christians, Nazis, Democrats, whatever the name is. And then you also have an enemy to which you could say, we're not them over there. They do it different. That's not us. You create this cohesive, sticky environment, a community where people flock. It's incredible. Now, people wonder why, well, why do we need the enemy part of that? Like, what is it about having an enemy? Psychologically and emotionally, it's very similar to why you want a future-based cause. It adds social cohesion. When you have a common enemy, you have something that can bring you together with other people. It helps you in the identity formation. So when you have this name and this future-based cause, it's like an extra sort of add-on. It's like, well, now as a part of that, we don't mess with them. And it's cohesive. It allows you as well to have stronger leadership, because one of the biggest ways to motivate people is to point out other people that aren't doing what they should, and that you're different, and that we have a higher standards, and you make it tribal. See where I'm going with all this? See how crazy this is? This works. I'm telling you. I want to share a personal story about this, because for those of you that know me, you know that I'm a stand-up comedian as well. I go into dark rooms and I tell dick jokes for fun, and I love it. And one of the things as a comedian is, of course, I want to establish a fan base. I want people to like my stuff, and a lot of times comedians think the only thing they need to do is just put out funny content, and it's actually not true. One of my favorite comedians, and somebody that I consider a friend, is a guy named Chris D'Elia. He's a very, very famous, very, very funny comedian. And several years ago, he started his podcast, which is called Congratulations. And as a part of the Congratulations podcast, he started referring to the names of his followers as the babies. And he was playful. He'd say, hey, what's up, my babies? And that was what you were called if you were in his camp. If you're a fan of D'Elia, you're one of the babies. You're a true baby. And the babies that are fans, it's happened to this day. I can wear Chris D'Elia merchandise into a store, and I'll have somebody like, yo, true baby? And yeah, what's up? So what's the future-based cause of his camp? He talks about how he set up a log cabin that in the future they're all going to go to, and they're going to hang out in the tall grass of the log cabin and make friends and share ideas. And it's the thing, hey, we're working towards the log cabin. He references it in a lot of his jokes and a lot of his podcast episodes. Hey, we're working towards the log cabin. It's going to be so fun at the log cabin. I have merchandise of his that he sent me where it says on the back of the shirt, join our cult. And it has a patch where it has a log cabin as a patch. Okay, so we've got the charismatic leader, it's Chris D'Elia. We have the future-based cause, which is going to be living in the log cabin, sharing ideas and having fun with friends. Okay, so what's the name of the followers? The babies, the true babies. Okay, well, so what's the enemy? Chris talks about one of the most annoying things that he thinks that he sees is people that just follow the shiny things, that are thinking the newest, coolest thing is just the newest, coolest thing because it's the newest, coolest thing. Well, he referenced them as like the fish, a barracuda. A barracuda is prone to follow shiny lights in the water, and they're very easily distractible as a fish. So the enemy is the cudas, the barracudas, the people out there that don't think for themselves, that just follow what they should follow because they think they should or they're told. So the cudas are the enemy. I had a conversation with Chris about, did you know that from a marketing standpoint, you followed cult creation to the letter? Like when you go and study movements and study cults and you study culture, it breaks it down the way that I just did for you guys on this episode. He had no idea. His brilliance was he had no idea, but he did it anyway. There's part of me that calls bullshit on that. I think that he probably knew just because he's that smart of a guy. But my point is this. So if you don't have that type of ravenous fan base, I bet you want it. And so the way that you need to do this is I want you to, as a part of the processing of this information, as you're listening to this, taking notes and being willing to interject your spin into how this can be for you and what it could mean for you and your business, I want you to consider this. I want you to consider, let's say you're in men's coaching, or you sell windows or cars or whatever it is. Let's stick with men's coaching. I think that's a good example. If you're in men's coaching and you don't have the type of cohesive, sort of attractive, drawn-in fan base where they are really into you, there's a reason why. And the reason why is that you don't provide this sort of framework. You aren't stepping into the idea that you are the leader of your group. You are acting like it doesn't matter, that you don't want to be that guy. You don't want to be that sort of strong thing. You want to be one of the boys. Well, that's screwing your following in a way that makes it to where they don't feel led by you. So if you want to create that sort of pull, that charisma, that drive where they feel like, I need to do what this guy says, you need to lead. You need to look at yourself as that charismatic leader, that attractive character. So from there, in your men's coaching or women's coaching or whatever it is, are you leading? Are you acknowledging to yourself that you are the charismatic leader? Okay. What are you preaching as your future-based cause to them? Relentlessly reminding them in every piece of content, in every episode of your podcast that you do, every time you do a video, anytime you give a speech, anytime you do anything, are you telling them where you're taking them? This is our future-based cause. Because if you're not giving them a reason to buy in. Because that future-based cause, as I discussed, will meet their core human needs. Because if they're experiencing a lack in their core human needs, and you can present to them a cause, a movement that they can be a part of that has those needs met, even when they're not met yet, they will still buy in and they will take action. They will pay you. They will be your client. Try this. I'm telling you, start speaking from a place of this is where I'm taking you. If you're a men's coach and you're taking people for being out of shape and being broke and having crap relationships, describe to them that future-based moment where their relationships are on fire, their body's on point, and they're rich. That's the future-based cause. Give them significance, give them purpose, give them something to work towards with their growth. I'm telling you, this works. Have a name. I've actually thought about this for this podcast. As I share these ideas, I recognize it with the newness of what it is or some of the things that I'm even lacking. I've thought about, should I call my people the automators? There's got to be a funner name than that. I want you to feel like you're a part of something, because the future-based cause that I am teaching you is that you can get your life back. That your business doesn't have to stranglehold you with all of the requirements of content and podcasting and putting things out there and having great messaging and branding. I can help you handle that. I can free up your life. And there's a moment in the future where you have a free life because you've allowed me and my team to help you. See what I'm doing here? Does your group have an enemy? An enemy doesn't necessarily have to be a person. An enemy can be an idea. The enemy could be mediocrity. The enemy could be complacency. For me, the enemy of my movement here in my cult is the do-it-yourselfer. The mindset of thinking, I got to do it all by myself, and not being willing to stretch your wings and allow other people to help you and serve you. That's the enemy. I got to figure out a fun name for that guy, because that guy drives me crazy. I'm trying to help you get your life back and to do better at these things so that you have automation and that you stay in your lane and that your bandwidth as the leader of your own tribe is sound, so you can stay there, focus on that, and not have to handle all this other stuff. I've got to think of a good name for that guy, the do-it-yourselfer. Anyway, that's my encouragement. That's my call to action, is I want you to apply this stuff to your own world. It doesn't matter if you're a window salesman, if you make die-cut stickers that you sell on Etsy. Look at the people that you follow. Look at the brands that you follow that you love. They all have these elements in them. Every last one of them. They give you somebody to follow. They give you somebody to look that gives you a reason to follow them for a future-based cause. You have an identity shift. You have a name. And there's an enemy, a common enemy that you have amongst that community. This stuff works, man. I know, like I've said before, the other episodes I've talked about mindset and everything, but I can't think of a single business to where this principle wouldn't apply. You could be a commercial realtor. You could be a drywaller. It doesn't matter. There are things about you and what you do that elevate you to a place where people would want to follow you if you do it right. And let's be real. Let's be real for a second about business. We all want to make more money easier without extra work. That's why we invest in things like systems and automation. That's why we want to have a strong brand, because of what it says in the market. And that's why we want a raving fan base, so that the things and the offers that we put into the marketplace get gobbled up because they already know and trust us, so of course they're going to buy it. See what I mean? I don't really have much more to say about this, guys. I want you to apply this in your business. I want you to test it. And when you test it, I want you to reach out to me and let me know how it's going. Because as you do that, you're going to find more cohesion. You're going to find it easier to weed out the people that are your tribe versus who aren't. And I'm going to make this bold claim. You're going to make a lot more money. A lot more. So there we go. This week, had to go tactical, had to go strategy, had to give you guys the 4-part formula for creating a cult-like following for your business, how to create a movement, and all the little pieces of what it means. My friends, I am thankful for you for watching this show, for listening to this show. If I've hit the mark or inspired you in any way, I would appreciate it if you'd be willing to go to iTunes and leave a 5-star rating and review there. Please subscribe to the YouTube channel. Share these episodes. If there's anything about the conversation that we've had here that matters, let's put it out there. Let's get this going. I'm trying to build this so that I can make it easier. I can help people get their lives back by automating the aspects of their media and their content so they're not having to worry about it. There we go. My name is Bryce Prescott. You've been listening to Media Automated, where self-improvement meets business excellence. See you next week.